What about Anthony? Was he with us?
He just fine.
Okay. Just printed everything did everybody see that I kind of consolidated in that one folder our most important docs, I think, at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I printed all those documents. Yeah, it didn't print yours, so, Jane. But you looked at the whole thing? You looked at the document that she didn't take? Okay, just. Similar naming conventions. You're good. Yeah, I guess at this point, we're like, so, well, why don't you talk us through it a little bit?
Is it the one that says STR recommendations for board?
Yeah. So this was just basically my idea of what the steps would be to put this registration process in place and the other things that go along with it.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Should I grab a seat and sit?
Just sit here. Yeah. Just recommendations, not saying this is what you should do, but just like this made sense to me that this is how the process would be laid out between the board and the GM.
Right, I'm not sure if you saw Jane's, that thing Jane put together for I think I just put it up on the online. I'm not sure if you saw it yet, but she put together.
I have,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what we're looking at right here.
I mean, there's nothing in here that isn't what we already talked about and what we
Yeah, I mean,
want to do.
we need to
Yeah.
consolidate it and put in.
Yeah, and then, you know, obviously there's a lot of things that are dependent on the GM and the GM's research about fines and fees, like what's considered reasonable, because it has to be reasonable based on admin and stuff. And then I just put the scraping thing in there because we did, at one point, we were talking about using the possibility of a scraping service that would pull STRs off the various sites and keep track of that. And maybe that's something that's done at first and then only is done, I don't know, a couple times a year or something after that.
Yeah, that would be part of, I guess this is a recommendation to the compliance guy. And
Yeah, whoever would be in charge of
Yeah.
keeping track of that. And then I did change it from, I should have looked at what you already had written, because I think you wrote 6 months on yours, Daniel. I put 1 month of communication plus 4 more months of volunteers. So that would be 5 months, but we could obviously make that longer. And I would assume that we would have the registration process ready to go as soon as the communication starts, so that people can
yeah, I would think so.
you know, do their thing right away. But we could change it to 1 month plus 5 months if you thought having a 6 month period would be better.
I don't know where I got the 6 months. I mean, maybe talking to Michael about
Yeah.
the GM, but I'm flexible and all
Yeah.
that, whatever everybody thinks would work. I just want the system. to
Yeah,
work.
and of course they can change it to whatever they think will work best for them.
Yeah, and I did talk to Rick on the board. He's rolling out the registration for cars. So I wanted to talk to him about how he did that and how the process he did, because it's gonna be pretty similar. just gathering information and then having documents that we can refer to. So he and the GM are helping me with some suggestions. I just.
For like the communication channels and
Yeah, and how they, I want it to be a similar thing, so our residents are, they're prepared for the same type of rollout.
Yeah,
Sort of
that makes
standard
sense,
thing.
right. I do think we should send a postcard out to everybody though, because we no doubt have owners that aren't on social media, may not get e-blast, live somewhere else, and so we don't really want to have any excuse for somebody to say that they didn't hear. Or maybe we need to do, maybe a postcard is not, a proper legal notification. Maybe we have to send people letters and envelopes, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was something that the NME guy told me, that's their process for elections.
That it has to go out in an envelope.
I think that, I don't think it's that official. I think the postcard is what he recommended to me.
Oh, he said a postcard would be
Yeah,
suitable,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if that
So,
was.
I mean,
Yeah.
these are all our recommendations. It's
Yeah.
gonna go through legal and.
Well, and the worst thing that happens is somebody said, well, I didn't know, and then you're like, okay, well, now you do know, so now you need to, do what you need to do at this point.
I think
And I don't
that's
think it's
my
about
thought.
punishing people, it's about trying to
Make
get,
them aware.
make them
Yeah.
aware, get things up and running, and I'm sure people will get warnings for things. It's not like the first time somebody leaves a garbage can out, someone's gonna drive
Right.
by and slap them with a, big
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
so.
I agree. And that's why I think 6 months, in my mind, sounded reasonable, just to get the word out. And, sometimes people put things off a month or two, just, at some point, we want this all to be above board. And
Yeah.
get everybody registered.
Yeah, then you might wanna change that one to 5 month, 1 month plus 5 months.
I know I've said this before, but the only thing that I would add to this is that I think that it would really benefit the community if either the board or the GM sent a letter to the county asking for notice for when people apply
Yeah,
for
I think
conditional use
that's-
permits.
Did you mention that in here, Janet?
No, I didn't put it in mine.
Okay.
You could add it on.
I mean, that's what the scraping, essentially, that's what that is, right?
Well, in your case, it's only people that are applying for conditional use permits.
Right,
Yeah, so the scraping thing would scrape any rental that pops up.
it will provide
Yeah.
Sudden Valley with the opportunity to know in advance that an application is made. And to review and comment on that application if we choose to do so.
Right.
I'll put that to my process.
Hi everyone, Ariel. I just wanted to make sure I'm following along. I did come a couple minutes late, so are we going over what, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. What Jane submitted to the drive here? Is that what we're doing at this moment?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, great. I'm just trying to, what's the name of that? I'm in the folder. Is it the STR registration form working version? Or is
No, it's called proposed
Possible implementation process.
possible implementation process. Correct.
implementation? Okay, I'm with you. Okay, thank you.
So right now, we're talking about adding the process of contacting the county about conditional use permits.
Just having them provide us notice when they're applied for. Now, they're required to provide notice to every property within 1,000 feet of the applicant. But I don't think it's unreasonable for them also to provide notice to the association.
Meaning every time someone applies, not just every time someone gets approved.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all that.
When they apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they apply,
Okay.
since that's when the notification part would start at some point after that. I'm sure it has to go through several steps first,
Yeah,
right?
notice is provided before the public hearing is held.
Yeah,
And then what are we intending to do with that information? We receive the notification that someone has applied to get a conditional use permit, and presumably they've already, or they have not yet begun the registration process, or where are we thinking they'll be in the process?
It's relatively early on in the process because it requires a public hearing before the county's hearing examiner.
So what do we do with the information that the county gives us that so-and-so has applied for the conditional use permit? Is that just like kept on file somewhere and now we keep it like a pending open file for this person until they begin their registration process? Or are we, gonna hound them until they do their registration process? Or what are we thinking about that?
Well, my thought is that it gives us an opportunity to review the application before the public hearing. And at that point, we can make a decision as an association whether we want to review and comment on that application or attend the public hearing or provide written comment to the hearing examiner.
And under what circumstances do we feel we'd be opposed to a person getting this conditional use permit? Or do we have a process for that or some criteria?
Well, the county has a process, but for example, we could ask a question like, have they provided information on whether they have adequate off-street parking?
Yeah, I know that some developments in our county require approval by the association. I'm not sure I'm suggesting that at this point, but I mean, at least we'll know that this is something that, an address that we should keep an eye on and make sure that
Yeah.
there's a registration within 6 months of that application, I would think. But that's compliance. We can suggest that as an option,
Yeah.
but it's.
And depending on the timing, if we get a hearing notice, we could publish it in the views so that people in the community have notice of the application as well.
Yeah, that's.
But I don't know, we don't have to do that, but
Yeah, I think that's, that's beyond what I would understand on whatnot.
sure.
I could talk to the GM about that and see what his thoughts are and how we can work with compliance on that and what we would do with that information.
And before the hearing happens, the county staff provides a written staff report with a recommendation to the hearing examiner. So if we have that to look at ahead of time, we'll have a better sense of what the issues are and how they're being addressed.
Sure, yeah, I mean, that is a tool that we can use, and what we use that information for, that'll be up to admin.
Yep, absolutely.
But I think that's a good tool for us to have available to us.
I think this woman had a question.
Well, the only thing I was wondering is if you were to publish it in the views, I mean, I'm not sure what the application process with the county, if there's public notice through the county, but the public notice here at the level of the homeowners association, to me, it might pose a security risk. That's what I was thinking of, being a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
Is that this house might be empty. You know what I mean? So more often than others. So I do think like publishing it is a potential security risk to the homeowner. That's my thought, my
Well,
concern.
the county does have to publish notice.
About, that's what I
Yeah,
couldn't,
and it'd be in
so
the
it was
local
just question
county.
/ comment, I guess, yeah. Okay.
They have to publish it where?
In a local newspaper.
What I recall is getting a postcard from the county every time somebody does construction, within 1,000 feet.
Okay.
Over the years, we've,
Yeah.
you look at so-and-so's putting in a driveway or adding something else. So they do notify the neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, it's published probably in the Bellingham Herald or some
Yeah,
newspaper.
Yeah, and we did talk about, last time we met, we talked about maybe having a list of short-term rentals on our website, just partly as a marketing piece, I mean, as a perk for the short-term rental. But, it was the same concern about security. That's something that needs to be worked out. I think it might be something that we open up for discussion to the board. And, that's not gonna be implemented immediately. It's something that I think we need to determine whether that's the right choice or not.
Because I know even with our group of folks who do this, there have been stories of their guests actually being harassed in this community. And that's another thing, is if you listed it on a website, I think people who might not even know that this is an STR in their community now are watching it and harassing guests in our community. That would be a shame. So that's just something else that did come up in the course of conversations, that they had guests that actually left because they were harassed in the community. Yeah.
Was it
And
from
and they were people of color, so they felt really targeted.
Was this like immediate neighbors or?
I think they said it was a story from a while ago, but I think they said it was down, like just admiring the lake or something. That people had harassed them for being in the community and they didn't feel welcome.
That's here?
Yeah. It was a story that one of the owners had shared, and they left immediately that evening, said, we don't feel safe staying here. And I just think about if there was a list, again, that would be just like looking.
And I think the list would, it would be something that would be optional. I mean, it could be a good marketing tool for, the local, other Sudden Valley residents, but I don't see why that would be mandatory.
Right.
Maybe mandatory that it would be, just listed as property 32, just a random number, so there's no address attached to it, but just so people know how many are out there, or even which gate it's in, just for a sense of what neighbors are out there. But I agree, I wouldn't want to introduce any security concerns. So is there anything else you want to go over on that?
One other thing, the fines thing, and of course this will be admin too, but something that the board will probably be thinking about is the changes to how fines are handled when Wakiowa goes fully into effect, but that's not till 2028. Lori brought it up last time, so to me, I'm just kind of like, we're gonna keep doing things the way we already do it, and then I would assume we would change to comply when we get to that point. Because I think that's when she said fines don't have to go by mail, and you have to have a appeals process before you can make the fine or something like that. It's quite a bit more extensive than what we have now.
Yeah, I know with ACC stuff, it doesn't have to go through appeal. I mean, it can.
Even in the 2028 Wakiowa?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah, that's what,
okay.
yeah, that's the tricky part there.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Okay, yeah, that whole fine structure, fines and fees, they're gonna work that out somehow.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that was recommended from the GM was that we do come up with what the rules and right now we've got rules and regulations for the renters, which are pretty much guidelines really for them to be good guests. But do we need to compile a list, probably pulled out of our bylaws already, to give to the owners of these properties, just to keep it front and center what the rules are that are most germane to rentals? I mean, if you have a rental property, you should be aware of all these things. I'm sure not everybody who has a short-term rental is aware. And it's not like we're trying to trip them up with these things. We want them to be aware, these are the rules for everything. So
you mean at the time of registration, providing that to the owner?
I think so, yeah. I mean, is there value in that?
I mean, I think the big debate that we had before when Lori was here was that she was really against any form of coercion about having to have it posted. Like, we can't force them to post it. We have no ability to force compliance on that, so we shouldn't do it at all. But I don't think.
Two separate things. One is something that the owners would give to their guests, but also something that when an owner registers with us, we give them, okay, but these are the rules. These are what you can and can't do. Right now, I'm not talking about any special rules, but just rules that are already in place for everybody. But these are the most germane to what you're doing, as a rental. So just to keep it front and center. So I wonder if we should maybe charge the admin with compiling the most relevant rules and regs to present to the owners once they register.
Would that be any different than what someone would present to their renters, do you think?
I think so, because it's more, for the renters, it's more like, what do you do with your dogs, and sort of
So that would be more of a
introduction to, how we do
Yeah.
things here.
Right, I got it.
And I did change it a bit from
Oh, is that
what
in
you
your,
may have seen last time, just to make it more reader-friendly.
is that in one of your things?
It's in the file, let's see.
Which one is it? Rental concerns?
That-
Oh, here we go. Rental guest regulations?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Hi, Daniel, this is Tony. I was just curious about those additional rules that you were discussing. I mean, are you talking about like parking issues, things like that, or is there something else? I was just
I
curious
think-
up there.
At this point, I'm not talking about anything different for short-term rentals. I could envision that there would be. At this point, I'm thinking just take things right out of our rules and regs, just to make it front and center. I think the discussion about any specific new rules or regs for short-term rentals, I think that's a discussion that needs to be had. I don't know if we can, when we could do that, or, I mean, that's kind of a bigger issue, and it's tied into, speaking to legal counsel. And I think what we could do is present them with problems that we see and possible solutions that may be germane to short-term rentals, and find out what we can do, what's fair. Short-term rentals are definitely, they're different. They're a different thing. Everybody, you can't really describe it so much. It's like pornography. You don't know, you can't describe it, but you know when you see it. So I think there's a distinction that needs to be made, and I think that most of our neighbors would agree that they are different. People would probably rather not live next to a short-term rental. And I think, we're just trying to regulate them so everybody's happy. Not trying to pick on short-term rentals at all, but I think there are some specific issues that come up more often with them.
And I guess that was my question. I guess if there are rules that we are recommending, are we going to discuss what those rules are, or is this just a placeholder and for the board to figure out later?
There is a document that I put up that was starting. I was just sort of spitballing ideas that
Guest
we could
regs.
propose short-term rental solutions. It's on the drive.
Was that the one that was the table?
Yeah. And these are just ideas of problems that, are specific to short-term rentals and things that need to be talked about. And, I don't have no recommendations to the board specific to any of these, but they are issues that I think need to be talked about. Like age requirements for rentals, fire extinguisher requirements. Something to amend the bylaws to allow for creation of registry for owners who lease the property. Who put that one up? Does anybody recognize that?
Which one is it?
Amend bylaws to allow for creation of registry for owners who lease their property.
Well, I think I put that one on there. That was because I was putting on there that we need to amend the bylaws in order to create our registry.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Why do we need to do that, Tony? Why can't we just formulate rules or regulations around that?
Well, because right now there's nothing in the bylaws that would allow the association to create a registry. So the rules are derivative of the bylaws, and the bylaws are derivative of the covenants. So I think you have to get the authority before you create the rules.
Doesn't one of those, I don't know if it's the bylaws, doesn't it say that the board has the right to make rules and regulations to, for the betterment of the community or whatever?
Well, Okay, but right now, it also, the bylaws say owners can rent their property, and then we have underneath that a registration system for long-term rentals, but it is silent as to any registration requirements for short-term rentals. So I think in order to create the ability to have that registration system, there needs to be some amendment to the bylaws. That's what I thought we were doing, is we were going to amend that rental section to create a process for us to do this.
I think Lori talked before about, that basically, because it doesn't say long-term or short-term in there, that this was a de facto replacement for the lease that's currently required for all people who rent out their houses.
I thought I got from the legal advice we got from the attorney too.
Okay, well, I will defer to the attorney on that. I just was under the impression that we were going to have to change that section to allow for additional registration, because right now it only talks about information collected from people who rent their homes pursuant to a lease.
And we may have to. That's why I wanted to compile these ideas that we can present to the lawyers, to the board, to the GM, and just see where they go. And you may be right. You may need to do that.
I can see what you're saying though, because you're talking about a lease in legal definition of lease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like with tenant and that kind of thing, okay.
And I did add, Anthony, a doc in that new folder I put up. And this is stuff I compiled for, from the internet, but concerns that people have about short-term rentals. It's called short-term rental concerns. And these are, right off the internet. These are just, and everybody's aware of these, but I think these are reasons that short-term rentals are different from regular rentals. I mean,
that's on the Google Drive, or is that somewhere else?
It's on the Google Drive. It's called STR concerns.
Huh.
Are you seeing?
I'm not seeing that. Let me refresh here.
What's in there? You're in the full, presentation docs folder.
In the Google Drive folder, yeah. Let's see.
I put another folder in there called presentation docs for review.
Okay. All right, there we go. Found it. Okay, I'm there. Sorry.
And I just filed a list of things that I found on the internet, and I think we've all discussed them, and we're all aware of them. But I did want to put them all together just as a presentation for the board as to how we feel that they are different. And is there some way that we can address these in a specific way? And I'm sure you wouldn't agree, you'd agree with all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read through here and take a look at them to see. I think we've discussed some of these, maybe not all of them.
Did you get a chance to glance at these?
Yeah, I read those.
Okay. Yeah, so at this point, I don't feel like we're treating short-term rentals really any different from regular rentals. But if we do, I want this to be the reason why we would consider other things.
If we could go back to the regulations for a moment.
Sure.
Under the section on neighborhood etiquette, I have a concern that I am concerned if people are rude or threatening or offensive, we need to deal with that, but declaring them trespassers, I think might be a bit extreme.
I think that's right out of our bylaws.
Okay, well, if I'm renting a house to someone and they're rude or something, and the board declares them trespassers and kicks them out, that impacts my financial status. I mean, I can we'd want to act on that. But is there something short of calling them trespassers that we could do that would get us where we want to be?
I think this is all gonna go through legal review and they would probably change that. I mean, I got it right out of the bylaws, so I'm not sure where they got it.
Yeah.
It does sound a little extreme to me too, and I understand your concern.
But it could also be issues that are happening in common areas, not necessarily on the rental property.
Yeah,
And if someone was causing a big disturbance, I mean, you'd think you would just call the police, but I guess, it's not like our security's gonna
But even-
trespass somebody out.
even on a public beach, on a beach here, which is public, how can the board call someone a trespasser if it's public land?
Good point. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they came from.
Well, I think it's because our roads are actually still private. Even though the public can access them, our roads are private. And that's why we can say there's no soliciting, for instance, door-to-door soliciting. I assume that's where that stems from, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes we might get too far into the weeds, into things that, I mean, it's what it says in our bylaws
Yeah,
now.
I understand that,
Yeah.
and my only concern is that this may get us into a situation where it's gonna be very expensive for us to defend.
Well, and it could be something, maybe the lawyer would say, just take that part out of that. I mean, it's still in the bylaws, but we don't have to hand it to the owners, you know?
I mean, it's sort of a cautionary sentence in there too. It's
Yeah.
not, we don't have to enforce it,
Yeah,
but it wouldn't hurt for the guests to get a little bit, you know, pay attention, you know, we take it seriously.
yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with saying something about taking appropriate legal action.
And I think it's saying it's possible. It's not saying as soon as you do something bad, you're gonna be removed,
Yeah.
forcibly removed, but it's an option.
Our bylaws even give us the option to evict people. Literally evict them, like we would, that's not something I can't, I mean, our security guy's not gonna walk up and evict someone from their house.
Yeah,
But does this list
expelled
seem
from the community, that's being evicted.
vanished? Does this seem comprehensive enough for us to present this document?
I'm fine with it.
So which document are we presenting?
The short-term rental guest regulations. This would be something we would just give to the owners to give to the guests. And at this point, I don't know if we're making this mandatory that they present it or not. I think that was, we talked about that in one of our meetings.
And this etiquette part, if this is a document that we're gonna give to the owners of the short-term rental property,
Yeah,
and it has that language in there, I'm okay with that, because it gives them a severe notice, which is something that is appropriate, and let them worry about it.
do you feel this is appropriate too, Anthony?
I mean, so I am reviewing this final version here right now, but I didn't have any issue with if there's information that we want to give. I would, I guess, need to review it closely to make sure that it you know, it is 100% accurate before I would be ready to discuss whether mandatory posting or anything is required, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is still just a recommendation to the board.
Yeah, so, but as far as providing information to STR owners about what the regulations are, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
And sometimes it is nice to have a different format to provide to owners to give to their guests or to post if they want to, because it's more, something that's more friendly and eye-catching than here's a list of things you should read.
Right.
And I'm sure they have ways to do that with graphics and pictures or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure some do it better than
Yeah,
others.
yeah.
And it's just another tool for them. I mean, for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just a good solution.
I'm also just kind of reviewing this document right now.
Okay.
You're saying that this is something that would get posted inside of each of the short-term rentals, or where would this?
They at least get it in front of the renters, just so that they know, a high level view of what our regulations are here.
So it would be like in a guest book, or would you require it to be posted somewhere in the home?
That's up to the board, I guess, to determine. I mean, we could make a recommendation. I don't see why it couldn't be posted, but.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess here's the only thing is if this is going to be a requirement, I thought this was information that we were providing to owners that they could use if they wanted to, if they didn't want to use, they didn't want to. Like, for instance, I don't allow pets in my home at all. So I wouldn't want conflicting information about pets in there, because then the tenants are going to say, well, your dog I can have a pet as long as it's on a leash and
Yeah.
vaccinated and XYZ, but my rule is no pets.
If allowed, these are the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, would you have a real objection to, or do you think anybody would have a real objection to making this mandatory, that it's presented?
Well, I mean, because like I've given you what I use that I'm comfortable with, that kind of hits all the points that are allowed in my unit. But I guess ultimately it comes back, the owner is responsible if any guests stray from this. So here is what is required of your guests. Give it to your guests if you want to. If you don't, and they don't follow these, it's at your peril. It would be my position on it.
First place, I wouldn't want you to be fined, and I just wouldn't want it to happen. That's our interest in getting this.
Yeah, I mean, because just, thinking ahead here, if this is presented to the board, and if the board says this has to be posted or has to be made available to all guests, I mean, I would comply with it, but I'm probably going to draw a big X through the pets section and say, not allowed, that type of thing.
And
I
you'll
got
still
a cat who's joining the meeting here.
And that's why I would say,
Kat is mad about this anti-pet discussion. That's funny.
yeah, I mean, they could always just crumple it up and throw it away then, but I would like it to be there for them.
I noticed there's no mention of quiet hours on here. It looks like actions or activities by SDR guests are intentionally or negligence, whatever, become annoying and a nuisance, excessive noise, blah, blah, blah. I think it bears mentioning what the quiet hours are. So we might mention, noise must be kept to a minimum between, 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. No outdoor music, parties, or loud gatherings are permitted during these hours, just to be explicit, right?
I think that's.
I think you might even want to include something about conversations, because conversations carry, and it would, however you want to write it, in the forest conversations carry, and, basically I think the point you want to make is that they shouldn't be making any level of noise that can be heard easily in the next lot over. And if that means don't be out on your deck at 11 laughing and talking, even in a normal conversation, as you have experienced, is a real issue.
Do you have anything like that in your documentation, Anthony? About quiet hours?
I'd have to go back and look. I mean, if that's in the rule, in the first section of the rules, then yes, I do. But I can tell you here in a minute.
I think the 10 to 7 thing is Whatcom County noise ordinance. I think our rules sort of don't really say.
Gotcha.
I thought I saw 9 to 8 somewhere, but that I made that up.
That's I think contractor hours.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think contractors can start at 7.
Well, I mean, it is earlier than 9, but I mean, the only thing I've ever seen was this specified any hours will only apply to contractors, not to,
I'll look into
Yeah.
that, I thought I saw
Yeah,
something,
yes.
but I'll confirm, but I think that's a real good point.
yeah, that is a good point.
Okay, I put it in there, no, just right underneath that paragraph about the excessive noise, loud music, etc.
Okay. Thank you, that would be an important one for me.
Under,
Topic
under
of us, so I figured it should probably be in here.
Yeah, I was just looking at mine just to chime in here. I have 1.7 section, which includes 1.7.1 that talks about excessive noise, loud music, barking dogs, blah, blah, blah. There's no, it doesn't mention specific hours, but it talks about that those would become an annoyance to the neighbors.
And I think that there's really two things that we're considering here. One is that you don't want to be overly loud in general. You don't want to have blasting music, whether it's at noon or 3 p.m. or whatever. And then also the quiet hour thing is a different scenario from 10 to 7 because people are sleeping or, whatever, so.
Sorry?
the sentence says Sudden Valley won't be held responsible for accident or injury. Any competent attorney will tell you that's nice language to have, but it's totally unenforceable.
It's probably in the bylaws.
Yeah, I didn't make that one.
But,
We just put it in there to protect.
yeah, but if somebody gets hurt because of something that Sudden Valley should have. And a question, parking passes, are we gonna start issuing those?
I think we already have,
Have we?
yeah.
Voluntary.
Okay, so it talks about including shoulder areas.
Yeah,
We're gonna allow parking on shoulder areas?
well, people already park there.
Well, yeah. But we specify separately that the shoulder doesn't include any portion of the road.
Correct.
Okay, so that, as long as that part's clear.
Yeah, I'd like to see nobody ever parking on the shoulder, but parking passes are for, if you just park at home all the time, you never need it, my understanding. But if you park anywhere, common areas, I think that's when you need to have a parking pass. And I would consider any parking that people do on the street in the shoulder would be that.
Well, we park down at the beach sometimes.
Yeah, and I think now you're gonna need a pass. I'm not sure when or how they're gonna enforce that, but I think that's the idea.
If somebody's called security on me, I'll deal with it. I mean,
Yeah, I guess
as I said before, my car was broken into 5 years ago, I'm still waiting for security to show up, so.
They're on the way.
I wanted to make another note about trash. It looks
Somebody comes and I don't have a pass, I go, oh, you're finally here for.
You've been complaining so much over all these years, we wanted to see what you're talking about. What did you say it was broken into? Was it actually, the glass was broken?
Glass was broken, and they went to steal some stuff out of the back seat, and they saw that it was a box of cassette tapes, and they left it.
Now, if they were 8 tracks.
I make a note about the trash. Daniel looks like he might have made a comment on it already, but it was just trash as a heading, and then there was nothing underneath it. So I just put in there trash and waste disposal, guests must properly dispose of all household garbage in the approved trash containers. Do not leave garbage outside as it may attract wildlife. Might be relevant in our little forest community. And then the other piece, right, it just had said trash, and then it went right into the alcohol intoxication. So I just put headings on both of those. and changed it a little bit to make a little bit more clear the repercussions for being able to handle oneself, just saying individuals who, in the opinion of SVCA staff, are incapable of reasonable control of their actions due to drug or alcohol intoxication may be removed from SVCA amenities or property. Because it says are prohibited from entering or remaining, but it didn't give a provision about being removed. So I just kind of said that in there, if that makes sense.
Will you base what you wrote on what the bylaws say? Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I essentially just edited so it'd be more readable. I didn't change anything really.
Okay.
With the trash thing, our bylaws or our rules and regulations, not bylaws, they do say something like, isn't there some window for putting your trash can away or something? Or
I
is there
never
not?
saw that, but I know they enforce it,
Okay,
whatever
so
it
it
is,
might
it
not
is
actually be
enforced.
real?
Not in my neighborhood.
Oh, it's definitely been enforced on my property. I've gotten a notice when I've left it out more than 24 hours post pickup.
Okay, so
Okay.
24 hours, so we should probably figure out where that is in our rules so that we can clarify.
Yeah,
And it wouldn't be a bad thing to let owners know that the sanitary service does provide that service of taking the can up into
Right,
the
yeah,
driveway.
yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't gonna know about that.
I know in my neighborhood, if somebody goes on vacation, they'll put their trash out before they go on vacation and they'll take it back when they get back.
How long are they
yeah,
on
I see
vacation?
that a lot.
Week or two.
Oh, it's just such a sign that there's no one there.
That's the
That
thing,
seems like such a bad
nobody
thing.
knows that you can hire the trash
Yeah.
service. I didn't know that until
Yeah.
a little while ago.
There's a limit as to how far they will walk. I live on a dead,
Probably
I
the
live on a
incline
dead-
of the
I live on a
driveway.
dead end street, and they won't come down the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if their truck is right there, they'll do it, but they won't walk 100 feet, because the truck doesn't come down the dead end street. Everybody
Oh, you
puts
have to bring your garbage
everybody
to
puts
the,
their trash
got it.
at the turnaround.
So you have to ask a neighbor.
Yeah, which we all do that.
Yeah,
Just, one neighbor would love to be able to pay the extra few dollars, but they won't, because it's 100 feet from where the,
maybe one of your neighbors could collect all the dollars from the other people and bring all the garbage cans back.
Side gig. No, I think trash is one of those things that they always talk about is trouble with short-term rentals, so I think these additions and clarifications are great.
Actually, it might be good to have a sentence, if this is something that is gonna be left in the house for the renters to look at, it might be nice to have a paragraph in there that says that the owner of the property shall provide you with a schedule for trash pickup.
What do you guys do, Tony?
Well,
pay.
we pay for them to, for the trash company to come pick it up, so the tenant's just responsible to put it in the can.
Okay.
But will they come and take it out of your garage?
It's around, we have it like underneath the deck, and they
Yeah.
walk around and grab it.
And they really,
Yeah, they do everything.
how much extra does that cost?
It's cheap, it's like $6 a month or something. It's cheap.
Maybe we should
Totally
outsource
worth
it.
If my back gets any worse, I'm gonna look at that.
Well, if we don't have that in this part of our, in these rules and regs, I mean, it's just that the trash would stay in the house and then the owners have to deal with it. It doesn't really affect Sudden Valley, it's just they've got trash in their house and it wasn't taken out. So I think that's on them. Don't you agree that it's not something that, I mean, you don't tell your guests you have to take the trash down to the street or anything?
We ask them to take their trash out, that's one of our cleanup rules, we have minimal cleanup, but we ask them to take the trash out to the dumpster, just to the can, you know?
Yeah, that seems like that would be a specific, owner, guest regulation. I don't think we need to get involved in that, do you? Or telling them to take the trash down.
I mean, I would hope anyone who's renting their house would tell their people. I can't remember ever renting a house where it didn't say what the garbage
Tuesday's
pickup day was
trash.
if I was responsible for it in
Yeah.
the instructions, so. In the instructions from the,
Do we want to make any other note about firearm provisions? We only talk about it in the context of hunting and disturbing the wildlife, but I don't know if open carry of weapons is allowed or if we want to make any, or discharge of firearms when not, being used for hunting. I don't know if it's relevant to make any mention of that.
I think it talks about it not in terms of hunting, doesn't it?
Sudden Valley is declared wildlife and bird sanctuary. The use of firearms hunting, the molesting of birds and their nesting or feeding areas or harming of other wildlife by any means is strictly prohibited. That's all that it mentions about firearms.
Oh, okay. I thought there was another place where it said something specifically about firearms, but
Yeah, I don't even know what the regulations are. I guess there's no open carry here, right? Can they even do that?
I don't know if that's even
I don't
a
know.
legal thing that we would even want to walk down that road.
Yeah.
Just want to illuminate that it's only mentioned in the context of hunting.
Okay, did you feel like it needs to be added in some other way?
Well, if Sudden Valley prohibits firearms in the public areas, or, I think it's worth mentioning if we're going to be really explicit about everything else.
Where was that one, Ariel? Where was that?
On page number 1.
But what, is it in the covenants or the bylaws or what?
I'm looking at the SVCA guest regulations now, the document.
No, I mean where you saw it. Oh, you didn't see it in SVCA's governing documents. You saw it in what Daniel wrote up.
I'm just looking at that document because we were saying that we wanted to just go through it before it got submitted for approval.
It's in the rules 1.2.
In the rules and regulations? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Actually, we gotta wrap it up here now. They need our equipment for another gig. So if everybody could kind of look through what we have in our that folder of our new docs and just, comment it and just edit it, let's just try to finalize this. I want everybody to be looking at it.
Sorry, I have to take this.
And because we can't go on, we can't continue this conversation any longer, let's continue it in our Google Docs. So thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.